Good evening. I'm Crimson with Shine a Light in the Dark, and I am here with the amazing Kate French. She is a
Hey!
solo artist, but also is in Vainglory.
That's right.
Um, so tell us kind of what you're currently working on with both projects right now.
So right now, I just a couple weeks ago actually, I released my first ever solo album, which is really cool. It's called Depth Perception. And what I did,
Congratulations, by the way.
thank you so much. Yay, solo artist. So what I did was last year I just challenged myself to complete a song from beginning to end on my own hands and every 2 weeks. And so what I wanted to do is just, put all the songs that I did together. And I've got a record label. It's called Rebellion Records US. And on the 16th of this month, I released my first solo album ever on that. So it's such a learning experience, I'm doing it's kind of everything. It's some metal, but it's some of everything. I'm such an eclectic fan of everything. I like, yes, I don't know. I like progressive music. I like metal. I like pop. I like dance. I like everything. So, what I was trying to do, though, and what I kind of want to do is combine the pop with the metal. And I'm doing something new. It's called pedal, which is, where you can dance to metal, which I thought was something that was really cool. And then I sing kind of heavier, but then also some really deep songs. That's why it's called depth perception. Like I've got one song that's called Technicolor Blue, where I'm just remembering what it was like, when you didn't have a fear before, when you were a kid and you didn't really think about anything. And that's what it's about. I have a photograph of me when I was at a birthday party, and that's kind of the cover of it. And it's in Technicolor. And so I thought Technicolor Blue, and it's just a really pretty song. But I've got a lot of songs like that. They're very much me. So I was proud of that. And then Vainglory, we just released a double CD not too long ago, which is this thing right here. Rebellion Records is my record label, and I don't have a whole lot of cash, but they did. So they repressed this, and this is a booklet. Now, this is actually two CDs, and it's on two record labels. It's on Animated Insanity records in America, in the US, and then it's on No Dust Records in Europe. So they re released the two CDs that I did. Now, Vainglory had a singer prior to me. They didn't put that one in here, but it's the two that I did with Vainglory, who is my husband's band, who I auditioned for. And that's a whole nother story. But anyway, since we re-released those on those labels, we've got kind of an uptick. We've got more interest, and so we're working on a new Vainglory album now. So kind of, rekindled the fire for the Vainglory, which is straight up metal. It kind of, the first CD I did was kind of a classic metal sound. And then the second we did was more of a like a modern, more of a screamer sound. I tried to do some of the some of that kind of stuff. And then, but the other one's more singing. I sing, I'm kind of like a James Hetfield type of thing. That's kind of one of my favorites, and Rob Halford. So I did that on the first one, and then I got a little bit more Pantera-esque on the second one. So that's what we've been doing. In Vainglory's writing an album right now, which should be out in about August or so. So a lot happening. So I am glad to have my plate full and to be talking to you. It's an honor to be on your show, by the way. Thank you so much for having me.
No, it's an honor to have you on here. And my God, you sound like exhaustingly busy. Like you just
Ah,
got so much going on, but that
I'm
is so
I'm
awesome.
I'm so glad that I'm
Congratulations.
thank you. Well, I'm just so glad that I am, I'm 54 years old right now. So I'm getting the opportunity to really kind of get into everything that I'm doing and learn so much more. And with the new thing that I'm doing, every year I'm going to do this solo CD thing that I'm doing. So I'm doing a song every 2 weeks for myself. And what I'm doing is challenging myself to learn more about, my DAW, my digital audio workstation, and more about programming drums, which I'm getting into now. Today I was doing some of that, and being a better guitar player, which I've been slacking on. I haven't really got back into it. I used to play a lot, but now I'm picking it up again. And so, the 2 week thing really grows me, and I'm really glad that I'm kind of getting my time filled with that. So I think that's the thing. I think that if you can in life learn something new all the time, that it kind of keeps your mind occupied and keeps you going. You know, if you keep going, keep learning, then it really fulfills you a lot more. Because for a while there, I wasn't doing jack shit. And so, I really forced myself to get back into it, and I'm a lot happier now since I'm focused on and doing stuff and learning. And a lot of opportunities have come to me through that. We were talking earlier about manifestation and about thought and the things that you think about and how it manifests. And when I first started doing this, I started getting vibes when I was singing because I was getting so into it and really loving, just singing. I started just getting back into it. And I got a call from Linda McDonald of Iron Maidens. I don't know if you know who that is, but she's like, Kate, you want to do this thing with Jim Petterick? He's the one that wrote Eye of the Tiger. And I'm like, what? Okay. So I manifested that. And I feel, I was singing a lot, and I was, thinking about what I really want to do, thinking, man, it would be so nice to sing and get really, get paid for it and to do well. So I did this album with Jim Petterick, and Linda played some drums on it, and a lot of other women, the lead singer for Vixen and the lead singer for Jefferson Starship and all this. It was called Tigress, and that was a couple years ago. So in doing this, I'm manifesting things as well. So it's a good thing to go and to do, and to learn.
When you said that though, like how does your inner child feel about that? Like I would like did you do the happy dance when that
Ha!
happened? Like what
Bet your
was
ass I
that
did. I got
inner
fucking paid
child
for that
moment
shit.
like?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, not only that, I got to work with someone that was, shit. Jim Petterick has been around since the 50s. He's written songs for Tom Jones. He wrote I've the Tiger. He wrote Rock Candy for Sammy Hagar. He's written for 38 Special, so the opportunity to get to do something like that with him was incredible for me, even though it's not really what I would normally do. I definitely think that anytime you step outside your own, comfort zone and you try something else, you learn something. And so I did learn a lot from that. Yeah. My inner child was like, so I was really, I was honored. I mean, I was honored to be a part of that. And with all the singers that were on there, and Chloe from the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and all these women, it was called Women Who Rock the World Tigress. Tigress was the name of the album, and I got to sing the title track. So that was really cool for me, something that wasn't what I would do. It wasn't really heavy metal or anything like that, but I got called on it and I felt just blessed. Yes. And I called that in, I was like, I was feeling that, and I was, really wanting to do something. And then that happened. And it's funny. I do believe that you can do that. I believe if you are in that energy and if you're feeling that wholeheartedly, that you can actually call it in and manifest it. In fact, my first or the second CD on this is called Manifesting Destiny. So, it's about what you're doing to create, and the thought and manifesting, and your vision comes to life stronger through all the strife, and you're better than you'll ever be manifesting destiny. So when you are really trying and really in the moment, then that's when you're at your best. So I'm all about that, like you.
Yeah, no, I absolutely loved that. When I saw the name of it was Manifesting Destiny, I was like, oh my God, like hell yes. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that brings me kind of to my first question because you know, I believe that music itself is like its own entity, right? Like
Yeah.
it never wants to misunderstand us. It always wants to actually understand us, especially like it doesn't care who we are, where we're from. It doesn't care about any of those things.
Yeah.
And
I can
as
get
an
into it.
artist, you
Yeah.
right, like and as an artist, you do a beautiful job at actually painting the world for your listener to come join you in it. And in that world, they can feel safe, seen, and understood, right? So what kind of world did you always want to create for your listeners?
Well, I will tell you something that it's funny that you say that, just to get on and just in this topic. Sometimes you're channeling. Sometimes you're channeling for what somebody needs to hear. I believe that as sometimes you're drawing and you're being used to draw, to help somebody maybe, or to help yourself, or I don't know, but I definitely feel that way a lot of times, that words come to you and that, I just don't know where the hell it comes from, but I feel that a lot of times you're channeling that energy. And what was your question again? I want to answer that directly and correctly. What was the question?
Oh yeah, no, you're completely fine because I
Yeah.
agree with you about that
Yeah,
channel
yeah,
because
it is. And Kip Winger, who I love, major crush, and Paul Taylor. Paul Taylor is a good friend of mine. He just came without, or he just wrote an album for Mick Mars that just released this last week, and it's #1 on iTunes. And so anyway, Kip Winger said that he said, that a lot of times when he gets stuff, he's channeling God and channeling source, and or whatever you want to say, or however you want to call it. And that's the gift that you get. And when he said that, it did stick with me, because I was like, wow, that is a trip, because there's a lot of times that I feel that way, but that happens. So anyway, back to what we were talking about, and your question is exactly my
oh yeah, and that channeling I do think is important because, I believe that each musician is like shining a light in the dark for their
yeah,
listeners to follow themselves back home to their authenticity, which was
yeah.
kind of why I was asking, like, so the question was essentially like, what world did you originally want to create for your listeners to come join you in?
Yeah,
Or like,
my
what did
world
you even
is,
see that channeling being?
for me, a lot of the thing is for the underdog, a lot of thing is for helping people, a lot of the stuff. And I really find that I'm drawn to really, you know helping people mend fences in their lives. Maybe they've got something going on with something, and they're not real, they haven't, like, that, Technicolor blue, really about, mending fences, and about really not thinking so much about things, but seeing outside of yourself, and looking at other things from other perspectives, other people, so that you can understand better and get through your life. So that's a lot of, and a lot of underdog stuff, because when I was a kid, I was, I had, wasn't, I had people throwing rocks at me and shit. It was brutal. I was really abused. And so it's about getting through that too, and realizing that you're not what you are on the outside, but that you are on the inside. So that's a lot of what I talk about, is that, and depth perception is a prime example of that. Depth perception is insight. Seek beyond the shallows to the light. So when you talk, when you see someone, you need to speak to them to understand who they are inside. So that's a lot of what that is. So that's kind of the world that I've created, really, really wanting to bring people together, and to help people to understand their situations better. Or, and then it's different at different times too. Sometimes I want them to have fun, and then sometimes I want them to be strong. When I'm singing my metal stuff, I want people to really, like, draw power from that, be like, I want them, a lot of times that's what it is, that empowerment of the soul, to make people stronger. So I do that a lot too. So it's all facets, really. It's just kind of different things and what I'm feeling at the time.
No, that's beautiful. And I love how you were talking about like, seeing like we were talking a little bit earlier about like not judging a book by its cover and
Yeah.
seeing who was inside. And even talking about like a little bit of the like barely grazing on a little bit of the abuse like that you endured. And I
Mhm.
think that that's so important to touch on because of the fact that I think that we're told a lot of lies about ourselves from the time that we're small.
Yeah.
You're too this or you're too that or you're
Oh
not
yeah.
this enough or you're not that enough. And like
Um,
the whole thing with the spiritual journey or like the healing journey or whatever you want to call it, right, is learning how to see yourself for who you really are and us not even judging our own books by our own covers, by what society has told us we should be or who we should be, and breaking out of that and becoming like our true selves. What really with your music helped you with that and how did that empower you at times?
so as far as, the power that you get from songwriting, it just helps me to understand things a little bit more, and it helps me in singing. It definitely helps me to get through. I mean, singing heavy metal is a little bit different than singing, any other type of music. And when I was younger, it really did help me to be strong, because as a young girl, I was out the fucking door at 16 years old. I was on my own. And and you draw from these things, and I was drawn to that kind of music just because of the emoting and the way that it makes you feel and the strength that it gives you. And I think it's that way for a lot of people too. I think a lot of people are drawn to that because it gives them that strength. And so for me, that's how it really helped me. It helps me to overcome any kind of negativity, and just to be a stronger person. So that's what I draw from heavy metal. And writing in itself, even whatever it is that you're writing, is very therapeutic. So I would suggest everybody to write their thoughts down, and to write songs, and to write lyrics, and to get that out. I think that's another therapeutic thing, is when you really get yourself out there, and when it's just highly therapeutic. So those are some ways that it's helped me, and and it takes your mind off of things too. So whenever you're doing something, and when I'm writing, I'm focused on that. That's another thing, is it deviates from any kind of distraction that's negative, and it gets you on something that's focused. So I think in doing something, and in writing too, that it gets your mind focused in the way that it should be, rather than any kind of thing that you're focused on. But it's helped me a lot through my life. Heavy metal is, and I don't know, a lot of people don't think that it's that way. I think maybe they think that it's just, I don't know what they draw from it, but for me as an individual, like powering that, like it's just kind of like screaming, it's like this, it's like this thing that really helps you a lot. So it is very therapeutic. I highly recommend it. Singing, anybody, if you get in your car and you sing to something you love, makes you feel so good. And music in general, you put your headphones on, you're on Spotify, you listen to your favorite song, you had a shit day, somebody fucked you around, somebody was shitty to you, you put that shit on, fucking you forget all about it, it's all out the door. So that's something that has, I think music in just general, is such a universal thing, and I think it really helps people, and I'm so glad that I've had it throughout my whole life. It's really got me through a lot. Has it done that for you too?
Yeah, no, I actually grew up kind of like in and out of foster care and stuff. So like
Mhm.
music was like that one consistent, and those artists that I listened to and vibed with, and those were the one consistent in my life when everything else was just, completely inconsistent. And,
Right. Right. I have
you
a
know,
friend that's a millionaire, and he was in and
mhm.
out of foster care, and
Oh, really?
he's in a band called the CEO, and his
I
name is
see.
Mac Mullins, and they're fantastic. But he's one of those too, and he credits music to. He's a banker now. He overcame, but he talks a lot about that, and it's from this. He says from the what did he say, from the foster care to the boardroom, and that's kind of his hook line. But it's one of those, when the music really gets you through stuff, and he's one of those. That must have been really rough on you to have gone through that. I can't even imagine, and for him I can't imagine it either. My parents were jackholes. I mean, my dad was always fucking around, and then my mom was just always, she was into horses, and she was riding, she was doing her own thing. So she'd just dump me with a babysitter. She never, I mean, she didn't give a fuck. I don't know why she had me. So it's the same kind of thing, where they just pawn you off, and you're just like, what the hell? Why aren't I good enough for them to, hang out or whatever? And through all the conclusion, I just realized they're total assholes. Fuck them. You know what I mean? I don't fucking care, whatever. And now I have a son, he's 25. And the things that you learn from what you went through taught you something to know not what to do with your kids. Now, do you have kids?
Oh, yeah, I had my son when I was 15, and I
Yeah.
had my daughter a couple years later.
Okay.
So, yeah, I have a 20-year, well, he's almost 20.
I have a
He's
25-year
getting
old
close.
son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they teach you exactly what you don't like, the cycles that you
Exactly.
don't want to repeat, and
Exactly.
it
And
teaches
that
you
is
exactly what you don't wanna do.
right. So the beauty of what we went through is that it taught us what not to do. And so that's what I credit when I think about my mom. I think, wow, she was a narcissistic fucking vain piece of shit. I mean, she really, and I hate to say that, and I don't want to say anything, well, we haven't talked in years actually now, but I mean, telling me stuff that was like, what the fucking, like she was jealous of me and stuff when I was young, when I was like 10, all kinds of weird shit, and that I was dumb and that I was this and that I was that as a little kid, basically. And then, I mean, there were some good times too, but she taught me what not to do. And now I lift my son up. I mean, my son is, he knows in every single turn that he is the bomb diggity, he is the shit. And that graduated with honors, and he is, he's a drummer actually, because my ex-husband was a drummer and he got into drums too. I don't know if you know Vicious Rumors. Do you know who they are? Have you ever heard of Vicious
No.
Rumors? So they were a metal
No, I'm
band.
sorry.
No, that's okay. They're a metal band that was on Atlantic in the 80s. There was a handful of bands that were on Atlantic, and he was one of those. And that's my son's dad. And so my son was playing drums when he was like just out of the womb. He was like, do that, so he's
He
still,
was born in music.
he was. And now I'm here in Atlanta. Unfortunately, we got a divorce, and so my husband now is the guitarist for Vainglory, and so my son has always grown up, hearing rehearsals and things like that. And so yeah, it teaches you what not to do, and that's good. You learn that too then from your
Yeah.
parents. Where's your
Yeah.
mom? Did your mom just dump you off, or where was she?
So no, my mom was actually an alcoholic. So
Ah,
she she was an alcoholic and she was a drug addict, and
uh,
she was a dancer, and then,
oh,
um
so she had some entertainment. She did some stuff.
yeah, she did. She was a dancer, and she did do prostitution for a little while, and she had like very limited education. So,
Yeah, she
she
was.
tried her best with the best
Yeah,
that she could. And I always wondered, why I wasn't enough to make her stay sober or to keep her clean. And,
right,
it
right,
really destroyed versions of myself. Like, if even my mother can't love me, and
right.
my mom was actually, it's a trigger warning, my mom was raped. That's how
Uh,
I came to be.
uh-huh.
And, you
Wow,
know,
that's a lot.
my
Holy shit.
the father that raised me, he
Yeah,
would essentially keep getting my mom clean so that she could regain custody of me again. Because I get lost. My dad, she would start abusing my dad would leave,
uh-huh.
you know,
Yeah,
and then the abuse would turn to me, and then foster care would come in, and I would get pulled out. And then my dad would get back with my mom, get her sober again. And it was just like a vicious cycle that would happen that's why I moved around so much as a kid. And so
was
it
your
was just a
dad a good
vicious
guy?
cycle.
Was your dad pretty good?
Um, my birth father,
The
or
guy that
no, I
helped.
don't know my birth father because
Oh, okay, that's right, that's
yeah,
right.
my mom was raped. But
Well, you're
the
beautiful.
man that raised
You
me,
got some
he
good genetics,
actually
whatever it is.
thank
You're
you,
pretty. You
thank
got
you,
great genetics,
thank
whoever
you.
that was.
So are you. You're gorgeous as well. But
I get an A
the
for
man
effort.
that stepped up, I do attribute any stability that I ever had in my life to
Yeah,
him. He was amazing.
yeah.
I didn't know this, but he always knew I wasn't his. I didn't find that out until a little bit later in life.
Nice. What a
But
nice
he still
guy.
picked me up every time they were arguing. He even ended up telling me like later in life that, the reason he ended up getting back with my mom several times was because of like some of the stuff. He always wanted to help her.
Yeah,
She died a while back. It's actually when I finally found my voice and became a counselor and started talking, because my voice had kind of been stolen, because
yeah,
I never wanted to make her look bad or
yeah,
anything like that. But when she
yeah.
passed away a couple of years back, I
Did
got the
she have
Phoenix tattoo.
alcoholism? Did she die from alcoholism?
This specific instance, she was finally, that was kind of one of the things I think she was the most proud of is, drugs and alcohol had done a crazy amount of damage to her body,
Yeah.
but she died sober. Um, you know, and
Did she have a
she was
cancer or something like that?
So my family has a long list of like heart issues, and so she
Mine
had her
too.
first quadruple bypass at
Yep.
30 years old.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I have heart. I've always had like I have supraventricular tachycardia. So it's like when
Oh
your heart,
no.
you're just sitting there and it goes, "Brrr." And
Yeah.
so yeah, and I have some other things too. So it just, yeah. and people have just dropped dead from heart attacks in my family too. So it's scary. It's fucking scary. And I don't know about you, but if you have anxiety or depression, or if you feel, your heart beating and stuff like that, and you're scared to death that it's going to be something that's going to, affect you. Had you have heart issues ever where you're feeling that?
I have tachycardia.
Oh, you do.
Um,
So you have
yeah,
SVT too.
yeah,
Okay.
I have
Drink
tachycardia
coffee?
as well, but I don't. So mine's I do drink coffee. I'm bad
Yeah,
about
that's a
it.
big, yeah, it's
I'm bad
hard.
about caffeine. But with
Yeah.
my mom, thankfully that the doctors, because I was worried about it for me,
Yeah.
but the doctors were like, well, your mom's also done, years of heroin, years of,
Oh,
other
oh,
really
she's been,
strong drugs and
yeah,
alcoholism. And
yeah,
she had kind of the lifestyle that she was living, like, had really destroyed parts of her heart and parts of her body and liver and,
yeah,
and she also had several other she had diabetes. She was kind of like it was a whole
yeah.
system
There was a
malfunction,
cascade
as
of
you would
things.
say.
Sounds like she was
Yeah.
depressed too, like she probably didn't want to live. Like she had some problems with depression because she wasn't really to what she wanted to be, and because that can lead you downward spiral as well, when you're not eating right, and we medicate with things. We do that. I mean, my husband does that. I've done that before. I medicated with food and stuff like that, and I do that. I just lost a bunch of weight, but I've been like heavy, and then I change it up and stuff. I've been 210, and I medicate with food. I like to eat what I want to eat, but as I get older, I can't because my heart starts to get off. And then I get, problems with my system if I do eat the wrong things. But yeah, uh, yeah, how old are you now?
Oh my gosh. So I have a running joke that says I'm determined not to go past 30. So I just celebrate my 30th anniversary over and over again.
All
But
right.
I think I'm on my and so unfortunately that has made me forget exactly how old I am. I think I'm on like my sixth anniversary.
Ah, all
I'm
right.
I'm I'm pretty sure I'm on my sixth anniversry.
Yeah, well, I
No,
would.
no, fifth. God, I'm trying to age myself. But every year 88 makes me, that's how old I am.
Well, I'm 54, and it's a trip. I mean, to think in 20 years I'm going to be, almost, I mean, time goes by fast. So I'm trying to make the most of my time now and trying to stay healthier and do things that help my longevity. But I think the older you get, the more you realize, oh shit, and that's kind of one of the reasons that I, lit a fire under my ass and started doing things again too. When you get older, you start to realize that, it's a gift. This is a gift, even I'm not rich. I don't have a whole lot of money, and I'm not, well off, and I don't have this glorious life, and every day is, there's ups and downs. But the more and the older I get, I do realize that every day is a gift. And especially when you think about people that aren't breathing anymore with this last COVID and all the stuff that's going on, and all my friends that have passed away, and all my friends that are in the ground now. And it's just freaking amazing how many are gone. And, so I'm grateful every day, for every breath. Every morning I wake up and I'm like, thank you for another day. I'm so glad. So it gives you that incentive when you think about the fact that there's people that aren't breathing anymore. So we're blessed. We're lucky. Here we are. High five.
No. Yes. No, I completely agree. And,
Yeah,
when you were saying that, it reminds me kind of like what we were talking about a little bit before you got on too, where
yeah,
you were talking about like how you created a song, like even for your son. Was that kind of the inspiration for creating the song for your son? Was those losses in your life,
yeah,
or
yeah,
what was
yeah.
kind of going on?
So, well, I've got the heart issues, and I've got things, and you got a lot of stress in your life as you get older too, and bills and all that stuff, and just really worrying about death, just really, and yeah, and just I mean, it can happen at any time, anywhere. And I could be driving down the road. I've had friends driving down the road and a freaking semi truck runs into the side of their car and they're fucking gone. They're gone. So yeah, it's kind of insurance. And so it's like, I just want him to know. And that's one of the things too with your kids. I mean, you definitely want to go, before them. I don't I worry about him, and I don't want him to be sad ever. I don't want him to think that I'm not there ever. And if I had the opportunity on the other side to come and be with him, I would. So beyond everything, I know my energy would be around him. So I wanted to make it very clear to him that I would be there if I could, that and I believe that. And I studied went to college and studied NDEs and near death experiences. I wanted to be someone that helped people through bereavement and through life after death. And I had someone die really young, that kind of brought me to researching a lot of what happens after you die. Um, so I really wanted him to have that peace of mind, to know that I'm around him. And a lot of what I studied said that, you are in contact with those energies of your, the people that have gone before you. And so I just wanted to write that song. It's called Never Alone, and here I am, I'll always be here. Uh, just telling him that I'll be there. And so it's basically insurance, to let him know that. And I just kind of pictured myself. I think when you write songs, you picture yourself in a different place or as a different person too, and then you can imagine that, and then as an open-ended songwriter, and I write about a lot of stuff, but you put yourself in the place of maybe someone that has passed away, and how would they feel, and what would they say to their son or their daughter. And so that's what that song's about. But yeah, I just really want him to always know that I'll be there. And so that was my way of doing that. He was really weirded out by it. But oh well.
That's his age. That's
He's not like me. He's not real deep like I am. He's like, "Mom, I don't want to talk about it."
my son tells me stuff like that too, and I'm hoping it happens in age, right? Like, because I remember when I was younger, my depth was more like, I don't want to talk about those kinds of things. I don't want to think about those yet.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping some, but I feel you on that. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
there's an
you
old saying that says, like, that we become the person that we needed when we were children, it's like as a parent.
yeah.
And I hear you kind of like almost like, like I like, you remember how you were talking about like how we learn exactly what we don't want to do, and just like I almost sense this all like I love you endlessly and I'll always, be there,
Right, right,
for
right,
you,
right,
which
right.
kind of brings me
Exactly. Right, right.
oh,
And that's where we said we learned from our parents. And that is a
yeah.
great thing. And that's why, thank you, Mom. I love you. Thanks for that. Even though she did some stuff that I was like, what the fuck when I look back at it. But I was like, when I think about it, I think, hey, thanks for doing what you did so that I knew, what not to do and how to be. And now I'm always there for my son, always there, and I always have been, and and I always will be. And so he had the best life, and I really made sure that he had a good life, and that he, had a good upbringing, and that everything was really good for him. And I did exactly the opposite. My mom has seen my son maybe 5 times, maybe if that, maybe not even that, on hand, not even that, maybe 3 times since he's been born. And she's just whatever. And with relationships like that too, and with things that you go through, you learn to let go. You learn that you don't need any kind of negative energy. You don't need any kind of bullshit. You don't need it. You don't need that. You're good on your own. So, you just think about it in a positive way and put a positive spin on it. So, even though, and she's still around, she's still alive, but I don't need to deal with any of that. I don't need to. I've got my life and everything is good, and I wish her well. And that's kind of what you do as someone that has had someone that's not all there. And she's gotten me blocked on all these social medias, and she won't talk to me, and all this stuff. And she so fucking what? I don't fucking care. See you later. Bye. Okay, you don't want to, then that's the way it is. Then that's fine, and because I don't need that kind of energy. So you let go of that kind of thing in the after so many times of being abused and being treated like shit by someone. You let go. and you realize that people are who they are, and you can't change that. So you let go. So that's another advice to people. If someone's being, if it's like that, shame, what is it, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, or whatever, after so many times. And I think you let a lot of toxic things go, that way too. And I don't know if you've had any friends that have treated you badly, and you let go, and then you just don't. As you get older, you realize that it's just not something that's constructive for your life. So that's something, and you're much happier, and you just kind of, you pass it off to that. You just say, well, okay, this person is, this fine, but it wasn't conducive to my life. It wasn't something that was constructive or that made me feel good. And then you let go of that. So yeah.
Yeah. No, and number one, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. You're such a beautiful soul, but I'm sorry that,
No, no, I mean, these things, it just, you realize too that you're your own entity, and you have your own experience. You're your own soul. And if they're not around or whatever, there is nothing that you can do about someone else's, experience. They're living theirs, you're living yours, and you just have to accept that that's the way that it is. And it just makes you a stronger person. And that's okay. It's okay to have that happen. There's nothing wrong with that. So, it is what it is. And I probably will never see her again as long as I live. And that's just the way that it is. And I have my life, and that's just, you have to learn toxic energy is not conducive to your life. Whether you like it or not, you can be sad about it, or you can move forward and have some strength and realize that's just the fucking way it is. It's just the way it is. And sorry for my cussing. but
oh
uh
no, you're
but
completely
so
fine.
you draw strength
But
from it, and you just, it is what it is. That's kind of what the takeaway is from these things. And I think that's what people have to realize. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to go back, because when you do and you're shit on again and it happens again, then shame on you. You don't do that. You continue on, you move forward, and you find new experiences, and you live your life. And so that's my advice to people that have gone through anything like that, if that helps at all.
well, yeah, no, and I love that you said that because sometimes, I think that people think, oh, because that's my mom, or that because this is my sister, this is my
Right.
dad, or this
Right.
is
That there's
my
a
family,
responsibility to that. Right.
then I have to stay in this cycle that is toxic to
Nope.
me, which isn't true.
Nope.
I can love you from afar,
Right.
from a
Right.
distance to
Right.
my own mental health. And sometimes it's so important to choose yourself, you know, to choose your family, like you're talking about, like your son and your husband. Like
Right.
sometimes you have to choose the things that are important to you. I mean, even with my mother, like when after, because I got married when I got pregnant with my son.
Yeah.
And so after that, I didn't really see her hardly at all,
Same
and she
thing.
would
Yeah.
come into my life
Right.
at different times,
Right.
but,
The same exact thing happened. You and I. Yeah. Yeah. You have to just realize it. This is your takeaway and your words to remember right here. It is what it is. And then let it go. If she wants to come around and say hi, she can. I don't know if she wants to unblock, she can. And here's another thing. Here's something else in my writing, in all the things that I write and everything. And this is true. You will never be younger than your mother. Your mother, you know, your parents have a responsibility to be adults, to be the grown up, to be the guide. And when they deviate from that, it's not right. You're never going to be older than your mother. So if your mother fucked up, it's not your problem. You are it was her responsibility to be the adult, and they don't take accountability for that shit. You're not older than your mom. That was her responsibility to be an adult. If she wasn't, that's not your problem. So, and you learn that too. And when I get in a fight with my son, I remember that it's my responsibility to be calm and to be grounded. And I think about what I should do to grow him. What should I do as someone that's, you know, 30 years older than he is, to make him understand? And it's tough sometimes, but I know that being an adult doesn't involve being abusive. It doesn't involve being unkind. It doesn't involve any of that shit. It involves growing someone. It involves making it so that their lives will be enriched when they grow up so that they know how to treat their kids. So you will never be older than your mother. So your mother had a responsibility, and if she didn't do that, that's not your fault. You know, there's nothing you can do, but that's how I see things. Yeah, my son will never be older than I am. And so I have to be the adult.
It makes me wonder, like, when you were saying that, because that's true, like, your son will never be, our kids will never be older than we are, and,
Correct.
it makes me wonder, like, when we're talking a little bit, like, how I was talking about, like, the lies of society and, like, the lies, like, that we learn in our families and
Yeah.
stuff. How did you really, from that kind of, like, because you said that your mom kind of had, like, that narcissistic abuse, like, and patterns and things like
Yeah.
that. How did you really go about breaking the lies and seeing through that to like, what could you tell others going through the same thing to help them come into kind of their higher version of themselves as well, to see past that and break out of the lies that they were originally told about themselves?
You got to focus on your own life. You got to remember that you are your own entity. You have to remember to take yourself as you are, and that you're in your own world. I mean, we live and die with ourselves. So if you don't let what someone else, and that's a hard thing, but you don't let what someone else says affect you. You let it go. You know, Taylor Swift wrote a song. Shake it off. Shake it off. I mean, it's true. I mean, she's not my favorite thing in the world, but I mean, it's true. You gotta, you're in your entity, you're in your shell, and you live and die with yourself. And you don't let what other people do or say affect you. Stay on the path, do what you want to do, live your life, and shake that shit off. Fuck that, get mad at it. That's another thing. When you think bad about yourself, when you think and somebody else, you like, blow it off, take it and go, okay. And realize something too, that when people are being abusive towards you, then they've got the problem, and it's not your fucking problem. They're the problem, not you. So if you realize that it's their problem and not yours, then you'll realize that you just got to you go through your own existence, and don't focus on anything negative. Focus on the positive. Keep telling yourself that. Focus on the positive. Focus on the positive. Because there are things in this life that are positive, and there is, I mean, even if it's you're going to have a smoothie at Smoothie King, that's a focus on the positive, whatever you're doing that makes you feel good. And just and learn what not to do from the experiences of people that do stuff that's wrong. If somebody does something wrong to you and does something that's really bad to you, just learn from that, and just learn that you're not going to do that to anybody ever, and that you're going to be better than that. You're going to be better than that. You're not going to be hurtful. You're not going to ever hurt somebody. You're going to be better than that. And you're going to help people. And and then, maybe this other person that did that to you had something to learn too from you. So yeah. I could go off for days on this shit. Sorry.
Yeah, no, because I remember you telling me that you have a show on Spotify too, and
I
guys, I'll
do.
leave this down in the description, but called My Voice,
I
and
do.
you know, I really love that because I want to make sure that people know, like, kind of like what that's about as well, like,
Right.
because you're a musician, you're an artist, you're a
Right.
mom,
Right.
you also, you help people, you
Right.
know, and I think that's so beautiful to see, like, people in that, like we were talking about originally, like, that book between it, like, the book and its cover, right? Like, to realize the depth, like, that depth
Right.
of the
Speaking the
human
tongue.
soul.
Right.
We identify sometimes
Connecting.
as, like, one thing,
I think
but we're
social
not
media too,
just.
people have problems connecting sometimes. It's more prevalent now, I
Yeah.
think, than it's been. I don't know how it is for the young kids. It must be really tough a lot of the time. but yeah, I mean, if you have a conversation with someone, you can tell a lot more about them, and I think that's important too, to connect. So yeah.
No, that's beautiful. I love like kind of how you have so many different things going on, but they all beautifully blend together, like in this beautiful alchemic process. It's kind of like a dance of alchemy, like
And that's life. It is
where
a
does your
method alchemy.
catharsis happen for you, like, in general, like with all of it, because you do have so many things going on. You're a mom, you have the show My Voice, you have the your own solo project and the band project. But where, like, in all of that does the actual catharsis happen for you?
So are you talking about the meaning of everything? What are you, go ahead and
Like the releasing of whatever emotion that you're trying to paint, like either on My Voice or either on your album, like to where
Mhm.
you actually feel like, oh, this is that moment that I felt that release from this the moment that I come to peace with whatever I was trying to, let go of, that I was holding on to. Is it when you're
Yeah.
writing or when you're actually singing or when you're
I don't know that we
talking
ever
or
come to peace. Do we ever come to peace with anything? I don't think that ever happens. When is that moment? When we're dead? I don't know.
no, that is fair.
maybe
I, I
that'll
mean
be
I mean I guess, like, because I
maybe
don't
when
think we ever
I'm
fully come
checking
to
out, I'll
peace.
feel that moment, but I haven't felt that shit yet.
Okay, I guess, like, what I mean, like, when you actually feel like that release of the tension, like, whatever was weighing on you before you started, like, is it when you're actually performing, when you're
I
actually
see what
singing,
you're
or when you're
saying.
writing it, or
I see what you're saying. Wow, I have anxiety, so I don't have any release of tension ever. I
sorry.
drink I drink too much coffee like you. And I've got
That
super
is
sugar,
fair.
so I'm like, "Drrr." I'm just on 10. I got my McDonald's sugar-free coffee right
No,
here.
that's fair. I make a joke that I'm living on caffeine in a dream.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I do that. Yeah, yeah. It helps out a lot. But in completion of something, when I complete something, when I complete a song and I release it, and I think that that's the thing that I wanted to, and that's why I did this 2 week thing and why I did the release of my own. I think in the completion of anything, then you feel that catharsis. That's a big word. um, but you feel that whole whenever you complete something. And I think a lot of times in a lot of my life, I don't complete things. And this is something that I wanted to do in my art, is make sure that I was completing stuff. So in that, I felt that release this last couple weeks, and on the 16th of February I released that, and I was a solo artist for the first time in my 54 years of living. And so that was something that was kind of accomplishment too, and just the learning process. When you learn something and you complete it and goal yourself, I think that's what everyone should do, to kind of have that full circle moment, is you know set a goal, complete the goal, well, even if it's something small, and it gives you that sense of completion that makes you feel a lot better about yourself. So
Yeah, no, I love that. But, another one of my questions would be like, we've talked like about like your past a little bit, and music, and about how your son, like from the moment he was born, he was already playing music.
yeah.
But when was that moment for you where you knew that music was the way you wanted to express your soul to the world, and how did that come to be?
Well, when I was real little, my parents were really into music. And before everything started to go south, or actually it was going south then when they just dropped me with babysitters and stuff. But I always had music, and I used to sit in the closet where the record player was and play this, play a Creedence Clearwater Revival, or just, and that was my escape, from everything. And that was what I always gravitated to. So it started there. And then in school, I always, I played an instrument in band, and then I sang. in the choir, and I just always gravitated towards it. But the radio, and my mom always sang, and my dad, they had a great record collection, so I always came home, I put my headphones on and listened to it. So I always knew. And then as far as the metal and the singing goes, I think I think there was a turning point when I had my best friend. She goes, if you don't know what to do in your life, you could just sing. And I was like, wow, okay. My best friend said that. And I was like, okay. And then I kind of pondered that. And that was just kind of, and it kind of went from there. I guess someone had that confidence in me. And it just kind of, pushed me to go, hey, maybe I can do this. But I think when I started to actually do it and hear myself back, and really enjoy it, was when the turning point came of me really knowing what I wanted to do, and that I wanted to create it. And I'm very driven to get better at things and to do things. And when I started singing, I was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I couldn't find my pitch or anything. I wasn't very good. I had a band called Tantrum, which was an all-female band, back in 80 89, or 86. It was a long time ago. And I sucked, but I wanted so much to get better. And I went from, being horrible and being off pitch and not being able to get anything, to really, to driving and learning and listening and doing, and to accomplishing, to getting better. And I think too, if anything you want to do, you just have to stay focused and driven towards that. So yeah, uh, I don't know the moment. I think when my friend said that, that was kind of a turning point for me. But I've always been into music. I've always loved music. And since I was a little girl, I've always sang. And so it's just something I've always gravitated towards. I see you do too. Don't you have a bunch of albums in the background?
Yes, yes, I do.
Yeah. Yeah. So you
Yes.
can teach
No,
them too.
no. Oh yes, I love music is like my soul,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
I feel
Yeah.
like, and what's beautiful is like the art, like with artists when they put their, you didn't even realize, but if you think about it, in your artwork, we all put a piece of our soul into it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's amazing how that transcends. Like, I joke around, like, as a therapist, like, I'm limited by time and space, but artists aren't limited by time and space.
Well, that's one of the great things about doing what we do too. And anything that you record, anything that you put down, you've got that legacy to take with you, and or for your kids to take. So I highly recommend, like, doing what you're doing right now. This is what you've got, and your kids are going to look back, and your grandkids and your great grandkids, and they'll see you. And so you got your legacy, you got your thing that you're doing, and it's timeless. You're right. And that's something that's really cool, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think that your story, by the way, is beautiful, and it's very inspiring to see how you've overcome, you know, so much and still, like, found yourself within this process. Because I look in front of me and see just this beautiful woman who's very confident and vibrant and just has amazing energy and so full of life,
Aw.
and
Yeah. Well, I'm a shit show, really.
aren't we all though?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I have all kinds of shit. And I'm up and down, and I fight with my husband, and I fight with my son, and every day, it's up and down, and some days they're awesome and you have great times. And so I'm not definitely perfect. I mean, I'm a lover of life, and I'm definitely someone that loves love. I'm that kind of person. But I mean, I think we're all just the same. Everybody is the same, just because I put a little bit of makeup on my face, slaps some fake eyelashes on, or some shit on my, or whatever. We're all the same. We just handle things in a different way. So yeah, my life is probably no better or worse. And you think about it too. Think about the people that are millionaires, or that have money, and they got their shit, and they're dealing with it on a whole nother level. So you just have to remember that when you look at social media too, and you see all these things, and you see this life, and it's not that. It's not that. It's all relevant. It's all, even. Everybody's got their thing that they're dealing with. So don't ever think that somebody else's life is better than yours, because it may be a whole lot worse. So yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm not by any means like got this fairy tale thing going. I do have some great things. I live on 5 acres. I have horses. My son is here and he's healthy, and my husband is here and he loves me. And so those are some things that are, cool. And I'm okay. I'm not sick, I'm not dying of cancer. I don't have something going on to where I know that I'm terminally ill and I'm not going to be here, so I'm okay right now. And I think that's a great thing. We're
No,
fortunate.
it is.
Yeah.
But what I loved about your answer though, like when you were calling yourself a shit show and then like kind of going into that is that I think that what's beautiful about that is I think that so many times, somebody's like, "Oh, how are you?" Good. Or, "Oh, how not good." And I think that we've spent like as humans, we've spent so long wearing these masks of I'm good, I'm fine, I'm perfect, I'm whatever I want to show on
Yeah.
social media
Right.
that people began to think that the other feelings weren't normal.
Yeah.
The feeling
Right.
of like, but I mean, like, that's what makes it beautiful is to realize that in our madness is this beauty is created, that love for life. And, you know,
I
but
think,
I think that's,
go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, but I think so often we always, the people are so afraid to say, like, I'm not okay, or I'm not I'm not fine in this moment, not realizing that if they would just be vulnerable and say like, "Oh yeah, I didn't clean my house today," that somebody else would be able to meet them and be like, "Oh dude, I haven't cleaned my house either." Instead of
Yeah.
being like, "Oh
People
no,
aren't
let
like
me
that.
go and be perfect for 5
Right.
minutes and
Right. A lot of times
clean everything up."
people aren't real though. And that's another thing. It's so funny. I'm doing the social experiment right now with AI, and for depth perception, and I put all these pictures up of myself as an AI. And and it's like this big social experiment. And it's just so funny how people react, and how, they get mad if you're like this perfect person or something, and they really, a lot of people see things for surface, for what a lot of people are like that. And really none of it is real. I mean, none of it. I mean, even the girls that are, they get their breast implants or whatever, and they're fucking shit shows too. Everybody's going through it, everybody's got something going on. But it is just bizarre to see the way that people react to stuff. And and the beautiful, like beautiful women. I know beautiful women. I know this one lady who's absolutely beautiful, and she was in Playboy, and she is just smoking hot, and nobody will talk to her. Nobody will talk to her, and she's living alone, and she lives with this old man, and no, everybody's afraid to talk to her, and she's just alone. And she's depressed, and it's like, and it makes you think, wow, you could be this thing, you think that somebody is, just absolutely beautiful and perfect, and their life is not like that. It's not what you think it is. So anyway, yeah, it's a trip.
No, and that's completely true. Like, we don't realize how much too, like, we can post only the good moments, but not the bad moments. And like it can make people, it almost makes people sad about their life. They're like, "Oh, why is X, Y, and Z's life look so beautiful and my life is over here not feeling or looking so beautiful," not realizing that, well, it's because they're only showcasing the most, the parts of their life that they want you to see. They're
Yeah.
not showcasing the parts of your life that they are not wanting you to see. And I
Yeah,
think that
it's a
that's why
trip.
we,
Yeah.
yeah.
People even get mad. I mean, at the AI experiment that I did, it's like I'm posting
Are you
pictures.
still doing the AI experiment?
Kind of. Yeah. I'm less
What were the
now.
results, or what are the results of it so
Okay.
far? And like, what is
Well,
the,
okay, so what it is basically you just put yourself up as perfect through AI and everything. And then people like filter or whatever, and it's like they get mad. They get like it really infuriated, like really mad that you are, I don't even know what the fuck, but it's the filter thing. It's like if you're not lesser or some shit, then they don't, they get mad at it. And it's not, and I'm like, this is AI, it's not me, da 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 da, and they get so pissed. And it's mind-blowing to me, how that can happen, and how the shallowness can happen in both ways on both sides. Not that it should matter. I mean, if you put some, they want you to be what they want you to be, and it's just bizarre. And if you want to be what you want to be, then you are condemned, about it. And I think it goes for everything too. If you want to look some way different, maybe there's gonna be someone that's gonna judge you and criticize you about it. And the thing I take away from it, and it was with the depth perception thing, is that you really got to do what you want to do, and you got to be who you want to be. If you want to be, if you want to bleach your hair blonde, or you want to dye your hair red, or you want to, lose a bunch of weight or gain a bunch of weight, or if you want to do that, you just got to do you. You just got to do what you want to do. And that was kind of the result of everything, and the realization of everybody's a fucking critic, and they're going to have a judgment of you no matter what you do. You can do no right. There will be no time when people will accept you for exactly the way that you are. There's going to be no time. Everybody has a different idea. People are going to, somebody might love you, somebody might hate you, and that's just the way it is. So do you, do what you want to do, and be satisfied with yourself. And another thing, just live in the moment too. I think a lot of people freak out about the past or the future, or what, live. I think you're at your best when you're living right in the moment, and you're doing, and then you're accomplishing. But the experiment, the realization of the experiment is that it doesn't matter what you do. You're never going to be enough. You're never going to be enough. So just be satisfied with you. And that was the result and the conclusion that I came from, because people will hate you if you're pretty, and they'll hate you if you're ugly. Because if you put a picture that's not perfect out, then they're going, well, at least, if you do put a perfect picture up there, like, oh, that's not, so do what you want. Do what you want. And that's what I concluded out of the whole thing. And that a lot of people are very, very surface, and two, it really doesn't matter how you show yourself. You got to do what you want to do. Show yourself the way that you want to show yourself. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what people think. It matters what you think, and live your life. And then I think about, transvestite trannies or whatever, or people that are wanting to really be different from how they want. They got the right to do that. They got to do what they want to do. You got to do what you want to do, be what you want to be. So that's the conclusion that I found out of everything, because everybody's going to judge the shit out of you, and it doesn't matter who you are.
No, that's true. There's some Five Finger Death Punch lyrics that reminded me of is that
I love them.
I
Yeah.
would rather you hate me for everything that I am
Yeah.
than ever have you love me for something I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
true. Like, you're gonna
And
hate me anyway. I'd much rather
right.
you hate me and me feel like I'm at least being myself than still
Right.
have you hate me anyway, or even love me for something I'm not.
Yeah. And even with what you aren't, or what you don't want, if you want to, whatever you want to do, just do it. Just do it. Do what you want to do. Do
Exactly. You're
you.
gonna have critics either way.
Yeah, yeah. And that it goes with voice too. It goes with songs that I'm putting out and stuff. I'm not putting out stuff that's necessarily in the metal genre, or some people are going to agree or disagree, but the bottom line is I just got to do me. And if somebody does like it or they don't, doesn't matter, because I got to do me, and that's what I'm going to do. I don't give a fuck. I don't give two fucks. Fuck them all. I don't fucking care. I don't care anymore. I'm going to do what I want to do, and that's what I've got. I've got my fans that are my friends, and that's really all that I care about. If I write a good song and it catches on and somebody likes it, that's fantastic. But I'm not going to kiss anybody's ass or do anything different to appease anyone, because that's just blowing it. You got to do what you want to do and be who you want to be. So yeah, that was the gist of the social experiment. And it is just funny how face value people are, and how that's like they get mad. It's just bizarre to me. Like they get infuriated, and it's just You know, if you're wearing if you've got a filter on, you know, the filter police got to come out. You can't do that. You can't do that. And then it's like, what the fuck? And then I see people that are, you know, guys or girls that are doing that. Who the fuck cares? I don't fucking care. I don't care. Somebody does that. I'm like, awesome picture. I don't care. I don't care. So I guess, uh, yeah. So that's a summation of everything. I'm blabbing now.
Yeah,
So
no, that's a really cool experiment though that
yeah,
what
you should
like
try it.
actually even like
See how pissed off people get.
caused
It's
you to
pretty
start
funny.
doing that? Like
Huh?
was there something that happened that kind of like
Yeah, depth perception. Yeah. And I just started it around Christmas time, and I started to notice the little changes in people and the way it's basically to, you know, in a marketing technique to see what, not, I should say not technique, but marketing, you know, to see what works and what doesn't type of thing too. Um,
so was
so
depth perception already kind of written before you started doing the
no, no,
social
no, no. In
experiment
the
or did something
release,
proc it?
of it, that's what I thought about doing. I thought, okay, well, let's tie it in with this new thing. And then I started doing the full thing and started seeing about it and seeing what I got and what people, how people viewed it. And it just, there's so much judgment and there's so many things. And like I said, bottom line is I'm going to do what the fuck I want to do, you know. And I think everybody should do what they want to do, and then it really doesn't matter anyway. When you think about it, people, how many people are going to meet you, how many people are going to be part of your life in these circumstances, in on Facebook, on Instagram, or whatever social media, how many people are going to know you or who you are or what you look like? There's only two or three people that are going to really know you and what you look like and who you are. So just do what you want to do. So anyway, those are the things. I mean, you could start
No,
the whole thing, and you could do what you wanted and be your fantasy self, and be exactly who you wanted, and it wouldn't make a fucking bit of difference because nobody would ever know you anyway. You know,
no,
no.
that's I learned when I was growing up because part of the time when I was growing up, I was also an angry little shit. So I ended up going in and out of like in the time we lived in Colorado, so it was the Pueblo Youth Corrections, but I ended up going in and out of there a lot.
Yeah,
And I ended up on probation and, all that kind of good jazz for fighting and, all kinds of stuff.
yeah,
But
yeah,
long story short, I learned that sometimes it doesn't matter if you show people who you are. You'll be who they want you to be. I became a file. It didn't matter if I told them why I was running away from home. I
yeah,
mean, I actually remember one of my therapists telling me when I was going through that, like, can't you just behave more? And I'm like, yeah, you get beat by her and not
yeah,
run away.
yeah,
But they already have this built-in conclusion once they see kind of like we were talking about, like that surface level of who
yeah,
this book is.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't matter even if you prove them wrong to some extent because they already have it so in their mind
People
of
are
the
who they
version
are.
of you that they are looking to prove right,
Yeah, yeah,
regardless.
yeah.
And
If someone has a
so,
problem with you, it's their problem, not yours. There's a conclusion.
exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
And in the way that which means kind of just in its way of always just, being yourself because if they want to make you whatever they want to make you, they're going to. You can't even there's nothing you can do to stop them from doing it. It's going to happen.
Just do
Let
and be
them
whatever the fuck you
project
want.
how they want to project,
I don't
you
care.
know,
Yeah, yeah. Fuck them
you
all.
know,
Who cares? Do what you
exactly.
want. Do what you want. Be what you want. Look how you want. You know, be happy with your own existence, and you're in your own world, in your own bubble, and make that the best that it can be. You know, make yourself happy, and then don't worry about all the rest of the stuff that's around it because it really doesn't matter anyway. So anyway,
Yeah, because like you were saying, how many of them are ever really going to meet you and know the actual
nobody.
true
Yeah,
and see you for your real self,
right.
right? Because
Nobody.
that's another thing too. If you can't see me for my real self and you see me for like a file or whatever other projection you want to put, do you
Right.
deserve to be in my inner circle?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's almost like our own protection kind of too, on who should know us.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, nobody from any of that is gonna, I mean, most of the people that I am around, I mean, everybody, or that I have on the different social medias, are just so far away, and you know, it doesn't, they're never gonna see me, and nobody's ever gonna know me anyway. So what the fuck? I mean, nobody cares about me. Nobody's gonna be there when I die. I'm gonna do what the fuck I want, you know? I mean, nobody's gonna be holding my hand or telling, there's nobody there. So I think ultimately you really have to do and be and feel, do what you want with your life. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that totally wasn't even directed at you. It was just directed at like everyone in general
No,
that may
yeah.
be,
I know what you
struggling
said.
with that.
Yeah.
You know, I
Struggling
just didn't
with
want you to feel
the
like I was
judgment.
directing it at you,
And I
like trying to
know,
tell you.
right. And I know what you're saying. And I really, and you're talking about a file and people judging you, but fuck them all. Who cares? I mean, do what you want to
Yeah,
do, do what you feel, and shame on them, for judging you. And then they won't know you and who you are and who you really are. And that's too bad for them.
right. Because you are an amazing person, and it's been amazing, talking
I'm
to,
talking your head
you
off. I'm
know.
so sorry.
No,
I
no,
gotta,
I have
I gotta go feed
enjoyed
my horses.
I
I,
have really enjoyed talking with
I
you
have
and
enjoyed talking
just
with you. It's nice to meet
getting to know
you.
you. Is
Yeah.
there anything I want to make sure I honor your time, but is there anything you want the audience? And by the way, I will leave all of your links below in the
Okay.
description for my
Awesome.
voice, for Vainglory, and for your solo project
Thank you
in
so
the
much.
description below.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you really want fans to know before you go?
Just be watching out for my song every 2 weeks thing that I do because I've got it posted on Facebook and Instagram. And that's kind of fun just to kind of see the different things that I'm writing every 2 weeks. And then watch for the Vainglory album that will be released in August. We've got a lot of Vainglory fans. And so that will be released in August of 24. And that's about it. And live in the moment and enjoy your life.
No, I love it. And it was absolutely beautiful meeting you. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
everything.
no
I
problem.
truly appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Thanks so much for having me. It's been an honor.
Thanks.